So let's talk a little bit more about solving problems with absolute value. In this case, we have something here that we can't continue until we get rid of it. Because see that absolute value, it's not isolated. So to do that, I need to divide by 2 first. Because that's 2 times the absolute value of x minus 7. So since that's being multiplied, I have to divide it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And I get that the absolute value of x minus 7 is equal to 5. Now that the absolute value is isolated, I'm going to divide this into 2 problems. So x minus 7 equals 5, and x minus 7 equals negative 5. Because the inside of that absolute value is going to equal either 5 or negative 5, because the absolute value of 5 is 5. The absolute value of negative 5 is also 5. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides on both equations, because it's the same thing. And I get that x equals 12, and that x equals 2. So my solution set is 2, 12. Now keep in mind that I will accept if you write it as 12, 2. Now for this second problem, we have an issue, and that is that you have a negative 1 here. I know it doesn't say 1, but that's the same as having a negative 1. So you're actually saying negative 1 times the absolute value. So just like we did on the previous one, we're going to divide by negative 1. And we're going to get that the absolute value of 2x plus 1 is equal to negative 6. Now in this case, the problem is that you can't have a negative number. So the absolute value cannot be negative 6 because the absolute value of any number is positive. So in this case, there is no solution, or the empty set. Now this last problem for this video is one that has 2 negatives here, which has been a little difficult for some of you. Now, one of these is being subtracted. That's this one. The other is being multiplied, negative 4 times that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start backwards just like I would if this had been a parentheses. So if this had been a parentheses, I'm going to write that in blue over here. Negative 2 minus 4 times x plus 1 equals 2. I would have added 2 on both sides, and I would have gotten negative 4 times x plus 1 equals 4. Now, I would have then divided by negative 4. Remember that? So that's the exact same thing we're going to do here before we continue. So I'm going to add 2 on both sides because I have to isolate the absolute value first. And then I have x plus 1 equals 4. I divide by negative 4, and I did not mean to do this, but we end up again with a negative 1. I cannot have a negative, so this is no solution. However, if it had been positive, you know how to solve that particular problem.